What I want to invite women to consider is to flip the script a little bit and say, you were so resilient, you were so intelligent as a child that you learned this way of being so that you could survive. If you're smart enough to learn it, you're smart enough to learn something else.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fearless podcast. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Lorena, and I am your authenticity coach. And today we have a very special guest with us, and her name is Ceci. Welcome, Coach Ceci. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lorena. I'm well. Thank you. I'm super excited that we're both the pink ladies today. Yay.
Yes. we didn't plan it, but it came out perfect, I think.
Yeah.
So tell me, Ceci, how about you introduce yourself to our audience today?
Sure. Thank you so much. So my name is Ceci. I live in Jacksonville, Florida. And I have been coaching and mentoring people primarily in personal transformation or professional transformation through the use of communication tools. So I consider myself a communication and transformation coach. So I've been doing this for over 10 years.
That's beautiful. I haven't heard about that niche so much. You know, there is some niches that they are very popular, but I like that. We're going to dig into that a little later. But first, I want to ask you, what does fearless means to you, Ceci?
I'm so glad you asked that. When I first heard about Fearless Women, of course, I wanted to know more about what you guys were doing, what the team was doing, and what the objective was. And so as I thought about being on the podcast, I wondered to myself, what does fear and fearless mean to me? And of course, one of my, my guiding lights in this journey called life has been Brené Brown. So of course I looked up what she had to say, and she says, heroics is important, and we certainly need heroes. But I think we've lost touch with the idea that speaking honestly and openly about who we are, about what we are feeling, and about our experiences, good and bad, is the definition of courage. So I always hearken back to courage, which if you look at the etymology of the word courage, it has to do with the heart. So being fearless is being courageous, is being full of your heart, full in your heart, and willing to just let your heart be strongly out there with people. That's what it means to me.
Yeah, that takes courage. That takes being fearless to be vulnerable, right? I mean, when you were talking, I had goosebumps all over because it is so true. You know, people is like, I need to get the courage to open up. But at the end of the day, it's like you have to open up to get the courage. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be fearless. So I love that definition, and I love Brené Brown. And I love you for saying all the things too now.
Thank you, Lorena.
So, talking about courage and fearless, can you think about a time where you had no option but to be fearless?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think there have been so many opportunities for me to be courageous, to be fearless. And I think one of the turning points for me was back in, I think it was 2009, when the bank debacle happened and everybody was losing their jobs. And I was based in New York City at that time. And so New York was the first one to be hit. And I lost my job. And I also found out from losing my job that I had a problem with alcohol. And here I was, jobless, an alcoholic, and I just had to get myself to meetings. And I actually had a friend who was in the program. She was living in a different city at the time. I called her and she told me exactly where to go, when to go, and she would be on the phone after the meeting was over. And I went and I was just shaking. And I sat through the meeting. I did what she told me to do. And I came out and I called her. And she goes, good. Tomorrow there's a meeting at this place and this place and this place. And so it was just a step at a time, a day at a time. And really, like, when you have an addiction to something and you take that away from yourself, there's nowhere to go. You're with yourself 24/7, and you really do have to be courageous. You have to be fearless. And I'm happy to say that today next month, I will have 15 years of continuous sobriety.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm 15 years old. I'm a teenager again.
Congratulations, Ceci. And it all started one step at a time. And talk about being fearless. I mean, that being fearless is right now. For you to be vulnerable enough to be able to talk about the things that they were struggles and challenges for you at the time. Congratulations. And it's very important for us to share our stories, to share our struggles and challenges as well, because when we do that, then people that's going through the same thing, they go like, I can do that. I can reach out. I can tell the truth. I can say what's going on. And then somebody just like your friend might show up and just hold my hand. But it all starts with telling the truth, with being fearless and
Yeah.
vulnerable.
With
Thank you so much for
like
sharing that.
speaking your truth, like that's the quote from Brené Brown. And my niche of communication in transformation is it's about just saying the things. Just find the words to say it in a safe place, in a place that acknowledges you. And that's what's great about this Fearless Women, right? Is that we're all about helping women to be fearless, to be courageous, to find their voices and to speak forth their truths,
Yes.
because that's how we are going to change the world.
Just by being us, right? Ceci, it's like, sometimes we think that we have to do something extraordinary to do something good for others. No, let's be the example that the things that we want to see in the world, and that alone gives permission to others to
Right.
do the same, right?
Exactly, right? Like Gandhi says, be the change you wish to see in the world,
Be the
right?
change. That's right. I'm so happy you said that.
And
So
it does, it gives each other, we give each other the strength and the within our own integrity, when we are true to ourselves and our integrity, and we come out in our honesty and our truthfulness, that inspires other people. They're like, Ceci, I saw you do this thing, and I'm going to try it now. In my coaching, I don't ever invite people to do something that I haven't tried myself, right? If they want to try something that they've heard from somebody else, I'm happy to witness that for them. But I'm never going to suggest go do X, Y, or Z unless I can say, I've done X, Y, and Z, and this was my experience with it. Are you willing to try it too?
Yes, yes. Well, I'm sure you're such a fantastic coach, and I'm curious on how was your journey? What made you start in a journey of being a coach, and how did you choose your niche?
Oh my gosh. This is such a great question, Lorena. And again, and like thinking about talking to you today, I was like, how did I get started? And I realized that I don't know a day I don't know the moment that I made the decision to do this. What I do know is I was working at a major international bank in New York City. And I'd been there for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. And I was bored with what I was doing as an administrative assistant. And I didn't know what I wanted to do next, but I was tired of being in the financial industry. So I was about ready to walk out the door when somebody came to me with a proposition.
Okay.
And said, would you lead a group of other admins? Would you be the head of the group and make this a cohesive team, right? And I said, sure, why not? I mean, I'm bored with what I'm doing right now. I know everything that they're doing. I'm familiar with the bank. So I took that on, and what I wound up doing was coaching and mentoring a group of 20 people plus their executives. I started to mentor their executives on how to interact more effectively with their administrative support. And I was in heaven, Lorena. I was just like, this is what I was meant to do. I love this. I love seeing somebody, like talking to somebody and seeing them start to reveal themselves. And then they don't even know they're going to say it, but they sort of whisper what they really want. If you're listening closely, you hear it. And then I can pick that up and offer it to them, sort of like a flower on a plate, and say, what about this? Have you thought about developing that side of yourself? How would we go about developing that? And so I did that for about a year, and I was so excited. I just loved it so much, Lorena. And that's when I knew, okay, now I'm ready to leave because I know what I want to do.
Did you know that that was coaching at the time?
No, I didn't.
I was wondering, I'm like, somebody tells me that before being a coach, I will be like, okay, I do it. What is this job called?
I didn't. And but each person in that team and their executives within the bank, they all grew exponentially in the year that I was working with them. And to this day, I stay in touch with the majority of them, and they've gone on to do greater things. They've gone on to expand their world. It's amazing to see what a little bit of extra listening can do for somebody, and teaching them how to tap into their own voice and how to communicate. Here come my bubbles again.
Hello. Mine is not, and me, no. Only for you, Ceci. That's unfair.
It's still there. I don't know. I thought I turned it off. Anyway.
The universe is like, yeah, Ceci. But yes, I get it. First of all, how beautiful your metaphor about like giving them a flower. That just, I love metaphors, and I love the way you explained that to us. And how beautiful it is for us to realize that we can be that domino piece that just bring all the other pieces where they have to be. Just it starts all the domino effect. It takes one person to start changing the world, just a little tiny bit. And I mean, how lucky are we that we get to be in this industry at this time where things are changing?
Exactly.
But I don't want to go away from asking you, because I love your niche. So how did you choose your niche? What made you choose your niche? Communication and transformation. What's the connection?
So in my own journey from, through sobriety and into finding my own voice, I kept hearing the word transformation. And that made so much sense to me, because I didn't need to be healed. I wasn't a bad person. I didn't need to be, carved up and changed and all of this stuff. I had it within me. I just had to transform, right? And I began to really see oh, there is transformation happening in my life, and there's transformation happening. And how is that happening? I'm finding my voice. I would literally sometimes sit at work and hold my hand over my throat and my heart and just say, what is it that I need to say? What is it that I need to say? And I think that it also happened when I went through menopause. I would get these, I know that people call them hot flashes. I chose to call them wisdom flashes.
Yeah.
Because when I looked at it, every time that flush happened for me was when I didn't speak a truth that I had to say. And so I started really looking into new ways to communicate. Like there's nonviolent communication. There is Betty Martin does a work on like asking permission, the power of consent. So she really walks you through different little exercises to put it into your body that you're asking for consent from this other person. And so the more that I just like, it was just like you just pull one thread and the whole thing starts to unveil itself for you, for me. And so that's how I decided that my niche would be communication or transformation through communication, because that's what worked for me, right? To just, and I'm a linguist. I always have been. I speak French and Spanish fluently as well. The international bank that I worked at was a French bank. So words and languages always intrigued me. And I have to say right now that it happened when I was 5 years old. When I was 5 years old, my dad was in the military. We were living in Panama. And we were assigned by the military, because my mom had a baby, we were assigned someone to come into the house to help her.
Mhm.
And this woman was a Panamanian, and she knew very little English. Gwendolyn, I still remember her name. Gwendolyn. And I remember sitting on the floor, looking up at her, just starstruck. There was this being of light who could say something in another language that meant something to other people, but it didn't mean anything to me. And I was like, oh, that's what I do.
Yeah, but this is like something, because I can tell that even that you know all these languages and you have a strong voice, how about nonverbal communication? Because probably you were feeling her without even knowing what she was talking about, right?
That's true. That's
It's
true.
what you were saying, that unlocking something that, gives ask for permission, or is open to receive, and feel safe, because when the way that you are, the energy that you communicate as well, makes people feel something, feel safe, so they can open up and speak their truth and ask for what they need. It's
Absolutely.
so beautiful. And why is so important for women, communication, to get transformation?
In my experience, in my personal experience, in my observed experience of others, people, regardless of their gender, need a way to communicate, right? In my experience, women and women identifying people, female identifying people, tend to be taught to silence themselves. So we grow up and we think that we are missing out on, that we are inadequate in some way because we can't ask for what we want at work, or we can't ask for what we want in our relationship, or we can't tell our children what we need them to do, or whatever those things may be. We can't move beyond this thing because we can't verbalize it. And what I want to invite women to consider is to flip the script a little bit and say, you were so resilient, you were so intelligent as a child that you learned this way of being so that you could survive. If you're smart enough to learn it, you're smart enough to learn something else.
Yeah, to unlearn.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And so just to come to this appreciation of how intelligent and resilient and valuable our voices are, that's sort of the first part of learning to communicate. And then how do we communicate even better to be able to transform our lives into what it is that we really want it to be? Most of us as women, in the first 1/3 to 2/3 of our lives, we've done what everybody else wanted us to do. We were good little girls. We did the things. And now we're at a space where we're like, but this isn't even who I want to be. Like me at the bank, right? I don't want to be here counting numbers all day long. I don't like this. What I really like is talking to people, helping them to discover who they really are and then bring that out into the world. So for me, women tend to find it really valuable to have a safe place to try out new ways to say things, new ways to ask for things. And so I try to provide that safe space.
Yes, yes.
And then I try to invite people to find other safe spaces. Maybe there's a women's circle nearby. Maybe there's a yoga studio. I found a yoga studio just up the road here. I love it. I can go in there in the middle of doing my camel pose and just start crying. And the teacher's like, this is the time for it. This is the time for emotions to come out. And so being able to find those spaces and then being able to communicate to the people there, this is what I need from you. This is what I need to feel even safer. And Brené Brown said something recently. She said, we did all this work on trying to find safe spaces. And then we realized what we really needed was brave spaces. And now what we realize is that we need accountable spaces. We need places where people are held accountable for what they say and do. So all of those things, it doesn't mean that anyone has more or less value. It's just that's the trajectory. That's the journey that we're on, is moving from safe to brave / fearless, right? And to accountable spaces. How do we, as women, hold other people accountable?
Yeah, and ourselves. How do we hold ourselves accountable? Okay, so we found our voice, we have our safe place. So what are we going to do with it? Right?
Exactly.
It's like you. Okay, so I was a boring job. Now I have a fantastic job that I love. Now I learned something. I feel like I have to do this. What is my next step? How am I going to take action? So accountability with selves and accountability with others, because, we have a responsibility. I think like women, we have a ginormous responsibility. And right now we're waking up, because it's like you just said, we were born perfect, beautiful, fearless to the max, right? And then somebody told us, oh, don't draw outside the lines. Oh, I shouldn't do that. I don't color well. Oh, don't speak so loud. Oh, maybe I shouldn't even talk. Why are you wearing your hair like that? Oh, I'm ugly, right? And we keep accumulating all these society layers of lies. And what happened to you when you were in your job? And what happened to me when I realized that, whose life is it anyway? I was like, everything is okay on paper. I'm doing this, I'm making the money, I have the house, I have the kids, but I'm miserable. I don't, like, what is happening? And then you have to start peeling out the layers. Let yourself be seen. Let yourself be heard. Communicate to yourself who you are.
Yes.
What do you want? And like you said, now starts the transformation. I like it. I like how you put it. I like what you're doing, and I'm putting it in a box for me. I'm stealing it. It's very, yes. Thank you for that. It was so simple put and so beautiful. And is it any way that you are doing or you're thinking about doing to raise awareness in this subject?
It's as you said earlier, it's an amazing time for us as women and as coaches, because there's already a lot of things that are going on. And I can get sort of in my little bubble of everybody knows this, so what's but I think the thing is to continually be looking for and listening for when somebody's closed down, right? So to raise awareness in my world, it means one person at a time. I'm not going out and doing big seminars or anything, but I am talking, for example, to my yoga teacher. She's an amazing human being, and she silences herself. And I'm like, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
How did you? And then I go to the women's circle that's there and I share something that's happening in my life. And they're like, oh, that's been happening in my life too. And how did you overcome that? How did you like find the way to transform that? And so it's one person at a time. And then they take it, that person takes it and gives it to another person, and they give it to another person, and they give it to another person. I think for me, some of the sort of a clear thing that happened for me when I was transforming my ways of communicating was I realized I had shut down my body. Like from here up, I was fine. From here down, nothing was happening, right? And so I found some work. I started Gestalt therapy, which is really body-based therapy.
What is it called? Sorry?
Gestalt.
Gestalt. I think I heard about it, but I don't know much about it.
It's really body-based. And then I started looking at other, like going to get a massage and telling the masseuse, don't do it that way, do it this way.
Communication.
Communication. Exactly. And then the therapist coming out of the session would be like, the massage therapist would be like, that was really helpful. I'm going to ask my other patients to do that with me, like to tell me those things. So I think it's just one step at a time that we raise the awareness, one action at a time, being fearless in each of those actions, right? I would recommend people reading anything by, what was Byron Katie, Carolyn Montgomery, and Betty Martin. Those
Okay.
people are amazing at getting you in touch with what's going on in your body and then being able to communicate that out to the world.
Yeah, that was my next question. You know, if you had any tool on how to start this transformation, you know, but yes, that's it. Those are some great books. I hope everyone is taking notes. I'm obsessed with books too. It's like I buy them in bulk.
And I think even if people don't want to go out and buy a book or do a thing like that, one of the simplest things that a person can do is breathe.
Yes.
And I'm going to share with you a little trick that I do in all of my sessions. And it's not just take a deep breath, exhale. It's when we exhale to make noise, because that activates the vagus nerve that tells the whole body to relax and that you're okay.
All right, let's do it together.
So you take a deep breath in.
I like it.
You feel it, yeah?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's like you tense and then you relax. You let go, you ground yourself. I love that. I love setting up the sessions with something like that.
That's the
true.
easiest thing. It's the easiest thing to completely change your energy and the energy around you. And then you can like maybe find your words that you want to say.
Yeah. Yes. And in which other situation we can use this technique? I know I use it in yoga when I'm working out and I feel like a little like that. I'm like, and everybody laugh at me and I don't care. But
I use it in the car when I'm driving and I'm frustrated with the traffic. I use it when I'm on hold with, AT&T or Verizon or whatever. You can use it anywhere at any time. It's so easy. It doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
And it's always available to you. You can use it when you're standing in line. I remember one woman was like, you mean I just go, ah? And I was like, no, that's not.
You scare everybody. The grocery store is empty. Everybody run for your life.
It's more of a, ah. And you will see, I have seen people around me do the same thing, like that. They don't even know they're watching me do it. And then they just take a deep breath and they let go. We just have a knock-on effect with each other when we do it.
Yeah. It's contagious. I mean, you know, your energy, the way you feel is contagious. So we have to be what we want to receive too, right? I love that so much, so much. So I'm curious to know why and how did you find your purpose?
I don't know that I have anything to add to that. I mean, when I was working at the bank and that opportunity came forward, I just knew that was what it was. And then I sort of hearkened back to like years and years of people telling me, you're really good at this. I really feel comfortable talking to you. And or things like, I've never told anybody that before in my life. I don't know why I told you, but I'm sure glad I did, because now this has opened up for me. And my life changed so much when I started finding and using my own voice, that I just really wanted other people to have that opportunity. And honestly, sometimes I get so frustrated with women who don't say what they mean. I'm like, come on, honey, you have something valuable in there. Let's find a way to share that with the world.
Yeah, well, it's hard because our conditioning that we've been talking before, you know. So as coaches, it's like, you know, we have that, we want to say everything, but we need to let them understand, you know. It's like, you have a voice. We all have a gift. We all have a purpose, you know. So like you start listening to that voice. Oh, I'm good at this. Get curious, right? Investigate. Why am I liking this? Oh, let me Google. What is this really? Can I do something? That's how you bring awareness. It's like, and then you know it's your purpose. I don't know, at least for me, you just feel it. You just get excited. Like I could be talking, I don't even know what time it is, but I could be talking to you for 5 hours, right? And then you're like, this is what I am supposed to be doing, right? Which kind of obstacles you think you found when you were, you know, because tell me if I'm wrong, but you know, sometimes we discover our purpose, and you know, it's not that easy that the light comes from the skies. We have to do the thing, right?
Oh,
Oh, I'm a coach, I'm perfect, you know, look at me. We have to do the work, you know. This is our purpose, but it's, you know, we're not here waiting. Like, and for that, you know, we have to sometimes be a little selfish, and sometimes some people won't like it so much, right? Did you find a kind of obstacle like that when you were on your way to be the Ceci that you are right now, helping people, living your purpose?
when I think back, this is a really good question. When I think back to where I feel like the real meaty start of it happened at the bank. My manager did not understand what I was doing. She wanted me to fall in line and do the things. And I was like, you already had somebody in this position doing those things and it didn't work. I need you to just trust me. And I'm open to, you know, I was always open to her teaching me things that I didn't know. And I just needed her to be open to me too. And I was really lucky. I've been really blessed that she did. She's like, okay, hands off, do your thing, and let's see what happens. And as things started to change and the positive feedback from the banks started coming through after years or decades of them trying to make these changes, and suddenly it was coming from the ground up, you know? So I think when you say about obstacles, it's been there I mean, all my life. When people have said you can't do it, I was like, well, maybe you can't, but I mean, my dad was afraid that I was going to be penniless and not have a job because I was doing things you better watch out. Your boss is going to be upset with you doing things like that. I'm like, but they're not. But they're not. And I really just, I don't know what to say about people who are confronted with hurdles other than let's talk about it.
Yes.
What are
Communication.
you really afraid of? Because if you're just afraid of somebody else's opinion of you, then as they tell us in AA, someone else's opinion of me is none of my business. You know, I need to have my own opinion of me. I need to be sure that I'm acting in integrity with who I am and what I believe. And just keep striving. I mean, it's not easy. When I left the bank, it hasn't been easy to try to establish myself as a coach here in Florida. I have clients around the world, but so we do Zoom calls, we can do in-person sessions, and it's not easy. And I know where I'm supposed to be. So I just keep going in that direction. And I've surrounded myself, again, I go back to what we said early, a group of women who support me, believe in me, can help me. Like even just preparing for this podcast, I have a friend who's a marketing guru, and she's like, okay, do this, this, and this, be prepared for, get your headshot. And I can pick up the phone and call somebody or text them, and they're right there for me. I think creating that
Environment.
groundwork, right? That environment, your own world, is essential.
I agree 100%. I think that environment is so important. Surrounding yourself with people that supports you, that cheers you on, that believe in you. And also, sometimes we have to let go of people that, that they are not letting us, not serving you, because that's not a cute word, but that they are not letting us grow, because we cannot shrink ourselves just because someone is scared of doing the thing, but you're aligned, your values, what you're doing, what you're feeling, what you're thinking is like an antenna. So then things happen. I mean, really, like heaven and hell, I feel like they are on earth. It just depends of your mindset, is what kind of person you become, And yes, you are going to find a lot of challenges and struggles. I mean, your father, your boss, and you just have to keep at it. If you feel it, right, it's for you. Just know that in the other side is your purpose. It's what you're supposed to be doing. Nothing is forever. We're going to come out the other side.
And then you have that one client who's been struggling to get to this certain point, and they feel like they're about to give up, and then they make it. They make it to the other side, and you're like, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I love this.
Because things seem to happen right when you're about to quit. It's like, okay, I'm quitting, and then you have to be one more day, one more class, one more talk, one more client, and then you're like, wow, thank goodness. You just have to be disciplined. Oh my God, I could just talk to you for hours, but I have a couple of more questions that I have for you. Do you have an example of a story, like a success story with a client that you were able to help in a positive way?
So many things. Think of there's so many examples that are coming to mind, but I think one of the most profound experiences was with a woman who had a child who was self-harming. And so there was a lot of intensive therapy that she and the child were going through to sort of get through this. And then her husband left. And so she was there with not only this child that needed support, but 3 other children. And she felt like her life was just falling apart. And so one of the first things that I do with people, obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but obviously to me, is listen. And then I'm also a certified emotion code practitioner, which means that I can help people to release trapped emotions. So we work on that, and that sort of clears the groundwork for then, okay, what do you need to be able to speak your truth in this moment? What do you need to be able to find out who you really are now that your child is safe, your husband is gone, you're heading back to work? What do you need here? And so we worked together pretty intensively for about 6 months. And she started learning how to ask for what she wanted, not only from other adults, but also from her children. She started learning how to hold a boundary with the ex-husband who was walking all over them, right? She started to date and found someone. She went through several iterations.
Didn't we all?
That sort of were like repeats of the guy who just walked out the door. But then she's now in a relationship with someone who's vastly different from him. And we continue, like, we're not in the intensive weekly sessions that we were before, but I think finding her voice and giving her precise, because when you get in that situation where you're so tied up in, oh, here we go with the sparkles again.
Oh, but at least I can hear you. Yay, look at that.
Cleared up.
Thank you.
When you get in that situation where you are so wound up and you don't know who you are in the moment, right? It's hard to say what you want to say.
Yeah.
So when you can take a step back and that and just give yourself those, whatever that was, 3 seconds of a breath, then she was able to start, and you don't know how to formulate your requests. So we would practice. What is it you want to ask for? This, and this. Okay, let's break that down. Try out this language. Try out that language. How do you want to phrase it? What feels good in your body to say it that way? Shake it off. Get it out of your body. Try something new. And so, like I said, I think that's a tremendous success for her within a year to be at a space where she has a loving partner who's there for her, who's not afraid and who's not running away.
Yeah, that's so amazing. How beautiful what you do. And thank you. You're so inspired. You're hired, by the way. That was a beautiful story. And if you will have like one tiny piece of advice for our audience, our women that they're going through challenges and they're having trouble finding their voice to communicate themselves and the world what they need to transform, what would that be?
The first thing is always take a breath.
Slow down.
Just take a breath.
Yeah.
There's always time. I know we all feel like we're challenged to keep up with life. There's always time to take a breath. And then I think that the other tool that, again, I hearken back to AA, in the rooms, there's a topic, we get to talk about it, but we only get 3 minutes. We only get 3 minutes. And then everybody says, thank you for sharing, and we move on. And I've sort of incorporated that for my own self, right? So I'll be frustrated about something and this is going on, and I'm just starting to complain. And I'm like, okay, you have 3 minutes. When the 3 minutes are up, we're going to change the channel. We can come back tomorrow, but 3 minutes, and then it goes on the shelf and we focus on something else.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's not like do away with it altogether. That's a horrible thing. There's something in there, but if you dwell on it, if you wallow in it, you're not going to get to the crystal at the end of the rainbow, right? You need to just 3 minutes. Thank you for sharing. You can share again tomorrow.
It's almost like, you know, you're in a position that you're in pain, right? It's almost like you have your hand in the stove and okay, now you felt the pain, it's hurting, you know, and then you don't need to keep the hand there. Just take the hand out and learn from that. What are you going to do with that lesson? Not putting the hand in the stove anymore. But yes, that is, I like that. The 3 minutes, deep breath, 3 minutes, and then continue. I love it. Thank you so much. And I know we talk about Brené Brown, so you love her so much. But there is any other fearless woman that you look up to?
Well, Gwendolyn.
Gwendolyn. Yeah, your nanny. Was it your
Yeah.
nanny you said?
She wasn't my nanny. She was the nanny of my younger sister. And she was a housekeeper. So she sort of helped around the house when the baby was there. So I always think of Gwendolyn when I think of somebody really strong and fearless. I didn't know her very well, obviously, because I didn't speak Spanish when I knew her, but she's this icon for me.
Aww.
There's another woman in my life who's a healer, and her name is Rosa Garcia, and she will tell you the truth with love, with compassion, but she will not hesitate to tell you the truth. And then Brené Brown.
Brené, Gwendolyn, and Rosa Garcia. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if your life was a movie, what would be the title? I'm excited about this one.
If my life was a movie, the title would be just immediately, Let Me Love You.
Yeah, and let me love you. There's a song to it too. You have the soundtrack too.
Yeah.
Let me love you. That's right. Let yourself, because you know, sometimes we even resist the love. We resist when somebody even tells us something nice about ourselves. We go, no, that's not true. Yes, let me love you. I watched that movie for sure.
Yeah, Let Me Love You. And to your point of how we push away compliments, here's my challenge. Try saying, thank you, it's true.
Yeah. Yes. I've
You
been
have a
doing
beautiful
that.
pink blouse on. Thank you, it's true.
And you made the other person happy.
Mhm.
Because when you give a gift, you're happy that people likes that gift.
Mhm.
Well, it was so absolutely magic having you here. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm sure our audience had so many good nuggets. And will you mind telling us where we can find you?
So I have a website, ceciloves.me. It's pretty easy to remember. CECILOVES.me. I'm on Instagram as well, Ceci Loves Me, loves.me. Facebook, Ceci Loves. You can reach me at ceci@ceciloves.me.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in. And I'm so sure you enjoyed this so much. So please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ceci. Thank you.